Today I'm going to show you how to use Google Slides to create animations. We are going to take images and cartoons and photos and transparent images and PNGs, and we're going to use those things to create almost like a cartoon in our Google Slides. And we're going to create something that's really, really awesome, and it's going to look like this. And I'm going to show you how to do that. But first, we're going to go in and we're going to look at frame rate so that you have a better understanding of how all of this works. So we're going to start off by looking at this 1 second of video footage. This is a 1 second clip from a Shamrock shoutout. And when I play this footage, it looks like this. That's 1 second. Okay? 1 second of video footage right there. Now, we're going to look at frame rate, and frame rate is essentially how many frames per second. And a frame is almost like a photograph. So if you look right here, I move my cursor to the front, and then I basically start as 0, okay? And when I move to the right on my arrow keys, now I'm at 1, 2, 3, and notice that each of those frames is like a photograph, and it's me moving. You'll see that I'm at 5, 6, and my hands are moving. And so essentially what the camera does is it almost takes like a photograph per second. And what the camera does is it puts those frames together, and that's how you create a movie, okay? I'm shooting at 30 frames per second. So when I go through and I click all the way over here, I'm gonna get all the way to 30, 28, 29, and when I go to 30, it's gonna go to a new second, because that's how many frames per second I have. I have 30 frames in 1 second of video footage. So individually, each frame looks like this. Okay? However, when I play it, it comes together. The more frames per second that you have, the smoother your video footage will be. If you look at some of those super slow motion videos where they put the rubber bands around a watermelon and then it explodes, those frames per second are extremely high. They might have upwards of 200 photos or 200 frames in each individual second. When we shoot slow motion at school, we go about 60 frames per second. So the more frames per second, the smoother your footage is going to be. Why is that all important? Well, let's check it out. When we do our animation, it's going to be important for us to have as many frames per second as possible to make it look smooth. If I just have 1 frame per second, that means that in that 1 second, nothing is happening and nothing is changing. So we're gonna try and make our animation to be at the very least 10 or 15 frames per second.